Hey everybody, welcome back to Burn and Rubber Garage. We're working on Frostbite here. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I say that often, but I'm just checking things off the list. But this is something I've wanted to do for a long time. With the nasty weather we've had and are having, it might be, probably won't get to see results until the next one. I mean, we'll get the install done in this video, but we probably won't go out and take her for a cruise until it's done. What I'm talking about is an electric fan. A lot of people swear by the mechanicals, and you know what? I've never had a mechanical fan fail. But then again, I've never had an electric fan fail either. So there's a lot of different things to talk about here. I'm not sure how deep I'll go into it. You've got a single electric fan, dual electric fan, and then you've got the mechanical, which is driven off the motor. A lot of things have been said as far as a lot of people swear you can gain a lot of horsepower and efficiency, and I can see that because the mechanical fan is always making the motor work when it's going. It's just cutting through the air. It takes a little horsepower to do that. It has to. It's not free. As far as efficiency, I can also see where you pick up some miles per gallon. Some people claim big numbers, and we're going to find out. We're going to see, and I'm only going to be able to tell by how often I fill up, but I usually set my trip on my phone, drive around, fill up, get a rough estimate on how far I went. I don't do miles per gallon. I should, and I probably will in the future, but going down the highway, it's still cutting through the air and causing a little extra stress on the motor. So when you remove that, you should pick up some power there and ease it going down the roads, not having to work as hard to maintain the speed and also spin the fan. So I do say there will probably be some power improvements, and there will also be a little bit of efficiency as well. So that's a huge plus. The downside is these fans can have a big draw on your system. So if you have a vehicle and it's not quite adequate at charging, your alternator's on the low end of what you need because you've got a big sound system or something else, this would probably push your system to the limits and cause you to have dead batteries, die while driving, stuff like that, because the power just isn't there. But this truck has a really good alternator. We switched to LEDs because the old headlights, they take a lot of power to run. They really do. Like I see them in this and in the old blue Suburban. When I turn it on, I see my gauge go down a little bit. Same thing used to happen in the Fox body until I did that alternator upgrade. And now, I mean, you still see it, but it's not so dramatic that if I'm running the fan, the radio, and that, and it's so far down. So the LED upgrades, they have their purpose and will still continue to have their purpose as we continue to do those. But I think this truck would have been fine without it. There's no air. I plan to put air, so that's why I did the LED, to kind of help it all work together. It's little things you got to plan for. As far as this, I don't think we're going to see any issues cooling. I've upgraded to a lot bigger radiator than I had. I believe what I had was a 1 or 2 row radiator, just something pretty basic. Could have been something just factory replacement. Here I've got a 3 row. This has done an amazing job so far at keeping cool. And you can see right here, there's a gap. So air can get by the bottom. It's not perfectly set up. The fan is going to sit right on it, which is going to be a huge deal. It's going to force air to come through. The cooling upgrades on this needed to happen because the old one was leaking. But it has been such a big difference. It was 80 degrees the other day, and I started this, went inside, forgot about it, came back out, sitting right where it sits as I'm driving, or it never moved. So the radiator itself is a huge plus. Then when we're done, we'll hook up that overflow tank, and then I can see where I kind of route it. So what I went with, it all came from LMC Truck. They fell down here, so let me show you. Got the prices here and everything. We've got a 16-inch electric fan, 120. Cooling fan remount kit. I didn't know I didn't need this. Maybe I just didn't read it far enough, but some of these websites don't give you a lot of good information on what comes in the kit. That was $7, so that didn't really bankrupt me too much. Adjustable thermostat, that was $25. So we're into this about $150 with shipping. I got some other things on this for the gas tank relocation and stuff like that. But they're a torque flow and I think it's Meriden. Here is your adjustable thermostat. Got a nice diagram, wires, everything else we're going to need for that. Should work out to our advantage. Here's the remount kit. I didn't know it came with this, and I'm hoping you can see that. This was fairly cheap, so I bought it, and who knows, maybe I'll place the radiator, not like where it's at, and be glad I have this. But $7, I wasn't too worried about it. This, I think I will need adjustable thermostat, so that way it tells the fan when to come on. So that'll be really good. We'll look into this. I have not wired up one of these, so I'm sure I'll be looking at these instructions. And then over here we've got the fan. I went with the single. You can go with the dual if you want. Here is the fan itself. Just a big old fan. It's got some wiring right here. It's just going to sit on there just like that, and then those mounts will go through here, through the radiator, and hold it there. It's got some pretty good weight to it. When we get down there, when I take that off, we'll see if it actually has a weight savings as well. Set that there, reach my hand back in here. And then it looks like here we've got just some odds and ends. You got some wiring and what you need to hook it to the radiator and a few other odds and ends. We'll go through that as we open it up. But let's go ahead and take this old stuff off. Now I'm sure you, the person with a properly set up one, will not have this step. You'll be undoing bolts. I am going to be undoing some zip ties. There's two. I believe we got a couple more down there. So I really can't help you out on where your bolts are placed. You will just have to look and wait for that to become loose. If you have the room to take this off, that's great. I would definitely do it because there's some bolts right on the front here we're going to need to get to. I think I've got to get under the truck for that. So let's go ahead. Let me get those taken off and then we'll work on unbolting. What I'm doing, I don't want to take the radiator out. Now that I think about this, this should have been done when the radiator was out, but I kind of wanted to see how things work together. I'm able to get my 1/2 inch in there. I'm going to loosen them. The bolts are too long to pull them out. So I will loosen all of them and just lift it all out in one piece, fan, shroud, fan and everything. So really shouldn't be a big deal. Just be careful. If you hit your radiator with this or push on it with your fingers, it will dent it in. It will. Ask me how I know. I've put in a few radiators. They're very touchy. They're almost like brittle. This has a few scratches on it from when I put it in. It'll get a few more on the front end from where rocks hit it too. So don't be too worried about that. Just be conscious of it. I've got 2 loose here. I'm going to finish up. It looks like there are 4 bolts holding it in. I don't see a 5th one hidden there. Once I have them loose, I'll pull those out a little ways, lift up, everything should come right off, and I'll show you that process when we get there. I'm going to move the light here. I wish it would hang up here and do what it's supposed to do, but it's not really, it's just going to shine me in the eyes. That's all it's really going to do. I've got that fan off. We are now just going to lift that out. Set that on the ground there. Kept all the bolts where. So I got the fan shroud out, and I had to loosen these, the top part. Let's see if we can get this to slide a little bit. There we go. Hold that back while I tighten. Everybody, I didn't finish the project last time, and the sad thing is I'm still not done. We're close. But for the most part, it's ready to go. What happened here is down here we've got the water pump pulley. This usually bolts right to that. So let me go this way so you can see, and then the fan's on the outside here. So I got some bolts. First time around, they were the wrong thread. I don't know if you can zoom in on that, tapping the screen. This is a 24 count thread. AutoZone sold me an 18 count. My mistake for not double checking. The problem with this is it went in and was too long and wouldn't allow this to spin. So thank goodness we caught that before we started it. Yeah, it's just watch your threads. That's another thing. So a shorter one, I'm going to go get a 3/4. I think it's 5/16 by 3/4 -24, and we should be good to go. So that'll happen in part 2. This thing right here, just going to set it aside. I may have already mentioned that in the other video, but what I want to talk about now is the fan. It is all wired up. I'm on a switch source inside. Down here, that's not cleaned up yet because I want to make sure everything works. I've got my fuse right there, and I'm running what they recommend. Here's the thermostat. It's very interesting. I bent it back just so it could get around this. This is what we'll adjust. So what we'll do is we'll start the truck up. Once it hits the temperature gauge that I want, then I'll turn this over until it comes on. Here's the probe. Not a fan of this at all. do not like this probe. It's just sticking right there. If it works, we'll stick it with it. If not, right over here, I don't know if you can see that. There's a kit I wish I had got that threads right into there, and that's where your temperature reads way easier. Some people try and put this probe right here in this. It always leaks. Almost always. I would say 95% of the time it leaks. So I'm not putting it in there. I'm going to put it right here. They said mount it kind of close to where the water returns. The water goes in there, water returns right here. I've got my wiring here. This is tied up over here. There's a little bit of flexibility. Should keep it away from the heat of the radiator and moving parts. So we are in a really good shape. I don't know if you can see this. I want to show you. I may have done it in the last video. I was able to get this radiator more upright like it was. It was leaning out here. This line right over here, the transmission line, was bound up down here. I was able to free it up, and we got it. This line right here was bound up. I was able to free it up and get the radiator to pull more upright like it should be. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. What I'll do is I'll put the bolts in and then put the belt on and then bring the alternator up and get the tension I need on this belt. And then I'll see if it'll still freely spin. So last thing you want to do is have these digging into these little grooves right here, which it will happen. You'll just end up smoking the belt. Could cause a fire. It's my bad. It's my bad. So let me pull this off. I can't pull it all the way off. The bolt will go into this right back here. It's not going to spin. You're not going to have water, and your belt is going to smoke, which is not good at all. So you're going to need to get this on. The hard part for me now is going to be I'm not going to be able to see the holes lined up. So I'll deal with that in the next video. What I want to do right now, though, is say thanks for watching. I do appreciate all the views. If you can, hit thumbs up on this. Part 2 will be coming out really soon. What I plan to do on that is finish this up, get that all bolted up, fire the truck up, let it warm up to temperature where I've seen it been running for the last couple weeks since we put the radiator in. And then I'll adjust this to go, and then we'll take it for a cruise, see how it goes. I'm really excited. My biggest thing I want to see is if I can see a little more umph, because this is no longer spinning this guy all the time. And this is heavier than this. So we've lost a little rotating mass. I should see a little better efficiency. I should see more power because it's not spinning this as well. It's just spinning, sending the power back. So really excited to see. I've always wanted to put one of these on. This is the first one that I've had a mechanical fan and switch to an electric. So I personally am excited to see what happens. So stay tuned for that video. If you can, hit the thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one. See ya.